In my last video, I talked about why your hair sometimes doesn't respond to deep conditioning and how buildup, over-conditioning, or application mistakes can block moisture. On this channel, I've covered my hair journey through heat damage, color damage, and even postpartum shedding. But there's a period in between I haven't really explained. Stress-induced hair loss. In my Big Shop Journey video, I briefly mentioned this, but I didn't go into detail. During the pandemic, my hair was the healthiest it had ever been. It had grown back to almost mid-back length. It was thick, it was thriving, and then it started falling out. This was not breakage or dryness, it was actually shedding. And yes, hair sheds normally, but this was not my normal. Every wash day, I was losing handfuls. Even running my fingers through it, wet or dry, more and more would come out. That's when I knew something was off. At the time, I was working remotely as a paralegal, and I learned something I didn't expect. Working from home can be a blessing, but if you don't set boundaries, the stress doesn't stay at work. It lives with you. I was working out trying to stay active, but I wasn't actually reducing stress. I wasn't setting boundaries, and I wasn't saying no. And my body had been reacting long before I was willing to admit it. I'm a very empathetic person, and during that time, everything felt heavy. The workload, the uncertainty, and everything happening socially. In an office, you eventually walk out the door, go home, and reset your mind for the next day. At home, there is no separation, no commute, no reset. I had lived in New York for years, and living there, you get used to functioning under pressure. You normalize exhaustion. You normalize running on empty. I didn't recognize I was stressed because I thought pausing meant failing. And I had a normal exercise routine, which I thought was enough to decompress. There were people using that time to slow down, but I kept seeing what my clients were facing every day. And I kept thinking, I need to do more. My job gave us work phones. Clients suddenly had constant access to me, and I didn't set boundaries early enough. I overcompensated. And on top of that, I was doing hotline shifts, so every day I was sitting with heavier situations. So from March through late summer, I just kept pushing. And in September, I started grad school. I had already committed to attending earlier that year because at the time, I felt stable in my role and I understood the workload. So by then, I was managing a heavier caseload while taking 2 classes, 2 nights a week, and keeping up with assignments. By this time, my density looked thinner, and eventually I started to break out. And the shedding wasn't slowing down. I didn't change my hair routine, so I didn't understand what was happening. My mom trimmed my hair to even it out, but the thinning was noticeable. So I did what most of us would do. I switched to strengthening treatments, I bought growth products, I doubled down on my routine. By December of that year, I decided to do blood work because I thought it was hormonal. But everything came back fine. So in January 2021, I decided to see a dermatologist and she told me what it was. Telogen Effluvium. Stress-induced shedding. When your body goes through prolonged stress, it shifts more hair into the resting phase. And around 2 to 3 months later, those same hairs shed around the same time. And it made sense. By the time I noticed the shedding in September, the stress had already been building for months. My dermatologist tracked my progress and put me on a treatment plan. And she encouraged me to take Nutrafol. And slowly my hair started to grow back. There was new growth underneath the old length, and the density felt uneven. Some areas looked fuller while others still looked thin. I wanted to cut everything off, but going back to being a straight natural actually helped me build patience. And this was the first time I had to accept that hair growth doesn't happen on my timeline. That experience alone forced me to develop self-awareness when it comes to stress. Because I realized I feel things deeply and I have to be more intentional about the environments I put myself in. It made me reevaluate the type of work I choose to do, especially now that I'm a mom. So if you're experiencing stress-related shedding, here's what to know. It usually starts 2 to 3 months after a stressful period. It's temporary in most cases. No product can override chronic stress. Your body has to feel safe again before growth stabilizes, and that's different from breakage. which we can talk about later. If you're suddenly experiencing hair loss and you haven't changed your routine, look at what's happening in your life. You may be taking on more than you realize. Sometimes it's not just about pausing, it's about reevaluating your pace. Because it doesn't just affect your hair, it affects your health long term. Your hair might just be the first signal. Sometimes the answer is not on the product shelf, it's in your nervous system. I hope this was helpful. And if you've been noticing changes and questioning yourself, you're not crazy. There's usually a reason. You just need the right perspective to see it. As always, check my blog and Pinterest for detailed breakdowns and quick reference guides. Everything is linked below.